Quicksilver, pause. I don't know what everyone was freaking out about. I want her dead. Right. Right. Look me in my eyes and ask me if I'm joking. I'm not. 6 feet under, expeditiously. I'm 2 pages in and I've got a very bad feeling. This might be my best reading year yet. Hello and welcome back. For context, I live in Texas and we are about to get the worst cold front that we've gotten in years, starting tomorrow. Everyone is staying inside. All of my plans got canceled. People are buying out the stores. There's panic in the air. But last night I was scrolling my library's webpage, as one does, and I saw that they have an option to request a book bundle where essentially you fill out a form about how many books you want, what you do and don't like, and then based on that they pick books for you. And to me that sounds like so much fun. If you saw my last video you would know that I just read a 5-star and it was my first 5-star of the year. Very exciting. And I know that I want to read this weekend because I'm gonna have the entire weekend to do so, but I have been struggling to figure out what I want to read just because I am worried that I am still riding that high of that 5-star, and so whatever I pick won't live up to the last book that I just read. But now I don't have to pick. The choice is out of my hands. So I filled out the form and I listed my most recent 5 stars and my most recent 1 stars. And I asked for 4 adult fiction books. I may not read all 4, but at least we'll have some options. And I just got the email saying that they were ready to pick up. So I'm gonna go and get them and see what they picked out for me. Y'all. Right. Right. Cool. First of all, they gave me 5 instead of 4. Not complaining, just confused. Also glad I asked for more options than I planned on reading because 2 of these got eliminated from my TBR immediately. Let's address the 2 big elephants in the room. Quicksilver, pause. Pause, don't run away yet, okay? I have every intention of reading this. I've actually been looking forward to it for a long time, but I just cannot commit to an incomplete series, okay? That's all that it is. This is a trilogy. Only the first 2 books are out. The 3rd book I think is supposed to come out this November. When the 3rd book is out, then I'm gonna binge the series. But until then, I'm not touching it. I'm not even reading the back. I have avoided spoilers so far, which is a miracle in and of itself. So this for sure will not be read this weekend, and I'm sorry. The second big elephant in the room, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I actually own this one already. I should check how many pages it is. Yeah, it's like it's over 500 pages. Actually, it's over 500 pages. That's not as big as I thought it was. I thought this was in like the 700, 800 page range. Anyway, I don't know anything about this except that it has toxic lesbian vampires in it, which is really all I need to know to want to read it. And it's by V.E. Schwab. I have only ever read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but it's one of my favorite books, so I trust her with my life. I actually pre-ordered the book, and so I got it like the day that it was published, and I had every intention of reading it last October and then didn't. But I'm not sure. Ooh, my lip piercing. I'm not sure that now is the right time. It just doesn't feel like the time for vampires. So we're gonna put this at number 4 on the potential TBR pile. And then we do have 3 books that I've never heard of before. And because I have never heard of these before, I kind of had to just read the inside flap, and I only half know what I'm talking about. But from what I could tell, number 1, The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. This is a historical fiction set in the 1950s in Washington, D.C. This follows a group of women all living in a female boarding house, and they have their own separate lives, but they are loosely brought together by Grace, the landlady who hosts weekly dinners that everyone comes to. However, their happy little bubble is disturbed when there is a shocking act of violence at one of the dinners, and then I think the mystery in this novel is trying to figure out what really happened and which one of them did it. So this one actually sounds pretty interesting. I'm pretty intrigued. Second on this list is The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau. It sounds like Collette is our main character, and she comes from a family of jewel thieves who steal from the rich and then give back to the poor. But when she was young, her family went on a heist and something went wrong, and her mother ended up getting arrested, and then her sister went missing along with the precious jewels that they were stealing. And then we cut to 70 years later in the present. Collette has tried to put her past in the past and just leave life well enough alone, and everything kind of comes back to the surface when the bracelet that went missing with her sister all of a sudden shows up in a museum exhibit. And so she kind of has to rehash the past and delve back into her life of thievery in order to figure out where the jewels have been all this time and see if maybe she can use that to try and find out what happened to her sister. If this involves a 90-year-old lady going on heists and stealing jewels, then I'm all for it, but I'm curious to see if maybe I can get this one on audiobook or something, to be determined. And then last but not least is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I know Rebecca Ross wrote the Divine Rivals duology. I also haven't read those. Please, actually, is this like a spin-off of the Divine Rivals? I should look that up. Okay, turns out this is actually a prequel to the Divine Rivals duology. Hopefully it won't spoil anything for me when I read it in the future, but from what I gathered about this in the synopsis, this is about Matilda. She is a messenger goddess, meaning she carries messages and letters between realms, and she has some sort of powerful secret that she is withholding from all of the gods, including her allies and friends. And then there is a human man named Vincent who I believe she briefly befriended when he was young, but now he's grown, and their paths cross again, and they have to sort of form an allyship in order to rewrite the blood-soaked ways of the gods. So that's a little vague. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I don't know why, but something about that description is like reminding me of the Maleficent movie, like the brief love connection between Maleficent and the human Stefan before he betrayed her. But something about the powerful female being with the regular mortal man is just, that's a dynamic that I know I enjoy. And this cover also is just feeling like I'm trying to avoid the glare. But this cover is just like, it feels very atmospheric to me for some reason. And so I think this is the one that I am most excited to get to. But because it has such an atmospheric cover, and I know that it's gonna rain this weekend. It's supposed to rain all weekend. It hasn't started yet, but it will. And so I'm thinking I might save this for like the midst of a storm, maybe possibly. And so looking at our top 3 contenders, I really would like to find one of these on audiobook in case like my eyes get tired or I want to work on a puzzle or something. But if I'm saving this one, then I'm definitely going to start with one of those two. I think considering the titles that I listed that I liked and didn't like in their form, whoever picked these out did a really good job, because I am interested in all of them. And I think this was a fun experiment because I know I want to read Rebecca Ross. I have heard only good things about her books. But honestly, just going like based off the covers, I don't know that I ever would have picked these up, especially both of them being historical mysteries. It's a genre I enjoy, but it's not a genre that I usually gravitate to anytime I go to like a bookstore or anything like that. So I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to read these, and I will be back with an update when I've decided what to read. Ooh, sorry. Hello, it is the next day. We have a lot to catch up on. First of all, it rained for 20 minutes, okay? And it's only about 50 degrees, so I don't know what everyone was freaking out about. Secondly, last night I decided to start the Briar Club, and I'm about 60% of the way through it already. I am absolutely loving everything about this. I do need to correct myself because I said, based off the synopsis, that Grace was the landlady. That's not true. The landlady and Grace are 2 separate people. The landlady is a nasty, nagging, wicked old woman, the kind that like every interaction just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And Grace is the newest tenant as of the start of the book. Sorry, camera moved. The book is structured in a really interesting way. We get one chapter from one character's perspective in the past, and then we get a chapter from the house's perspective in the present when the shocking act of violence is committed. And so the house is like a sentient being. It's its own narrator, and it's watching the women deal with the aftermath of the shocking act of violence. And each character's chapter gets closer and closer to the present. And so I think eventually those two timelines will meet in the middle. And that's when we'll finally figure out what happened to who and who was behind it and everything like that. Pete, the landlady's son, is actually the first perspective that we get. He's been through a lot, and he's 13 at the start of the book, so he's going through a lot actively, and my heart just hurts for him. He deserves so much better than the wicked landlady mother that he has. Him and Grace form an unlikely bond, and he actually inspires her to start hosting the weekly dinners with all of the women and Pete to socialize instead of just ambiguously pass each other in the hallways and vaguely hear each other come and go through the walls. And through these dinners, all of the women start to open up to each other and become friends. They also have recipes sprinkled throughout the book. The first one is probably the only one that I would actually make. It's called Grace's Sun Tea. Apparently you just put a couple tea bags and some water in like a mason jar, and then you leave it in the sun for a few hours to steep. I wish I had some sun to actually be able to try it, but if I get the chance to make it at some point in this video, then I will insert that clip here. So far, we've gotten 4 characters' perspectives. Each character so far has been so unbelievably unique and individualistic, so very real, and I'm really enjoying getting to see the inner and outer perspectives of everyone. I have been glued to this book through every single page. I'm telling you, if the last 40% of this book is as good as the first 60% has been, this could be a 5-star. 2 5 stars in a row. I don't know if I've ever had that happen. And especially for a book like this. A book that, just looking at the cover, I never would have picked up on my own. I am so incredibly excited to finish this. I hope to be able to finish this by tonight. However, I won't be able to continue it right now. I mentioned that all of my plans were canceled, but the weather is completely fine. Like, it's a little chilly, it's a little windy, but it's not like there's ice on the road or anything. So a friend and I are gonna go see 28 Years Later in the theaters. So that's gonna take up the next few hours of my time, but you can bet your bottom dollar that I will be Velcroed to this shit the second I get back. I need to see how it ends. And I'm so curious. Grace is the newest tenant, but we haven't gotten a perspective from her yet. But even without a perspective from her, she has been such a prevalent character in everyone else's chapters. And yet she is still, I would say, the biggest mystery in the house. And even getting chapters from the house's perspective, the house doesn't know everyone's names or is choosing not to use them. I hope it has a good ending. And I want to know more about Grace. Grace is someone I would aspire to be. I should probably wait to figure out more about her before I say that, but from the bits and pieces that I've seen, she just seems to be really like the glue that is holding everything together. So I'm gonna go see a movie. See you in a bit. Hey, I just got back. The movie was actually so much better than I was hoping. It was 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I have seen the first and second movie. I just saw them last year, and then I didn't want to go see 28 Years Later. I didn't want to go see 28 Years Later in theaters, so I waited till it came out like on streaming, but you still had to pay like $19.99 for it, so I just kept waiting for the price to get lower. But by the time it got lower, I forgot about it. And so I hadn't seen the first 28 Years Later, and there might have been some context I missed, but overall there wasn't, like, as far as I can tell, there wasn't any information I needed from the third movie in order to enjoy this one. I think Samson is in the third movie, maybe like his origin story or something, but I was still like fully able to enjoy the movie, and it was so much funnier than I was expecting. And I felt the same way about like Terrifier 3 and The Long Walk, which I saw last year and was like my favorite movie of the year. I think comedic horror is coming back. Babe, I think it's coming back and I am thrilled. And anyway, I got a large popcorn because that's the best part of going to the movies, and then didn't get to eat like any of it because I got so grossed out by the gore right the fuck away in the beginning. But I did get a monster. Is it my third one of the day? mind your business. I don't know, I'm recording on my phone. That was so stupid. I found The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau, one of the books the library gave me. I found it as an audiobook on the Libby app. Someone had it, but there was no one next in line, like, to reserve it. So I placed a hold and was just hoping and pleading that whoever currently had it would finish it so that I could listen to the audiobook. And then I got the notification while I was in the theater. I didn't see it till afterwards because I'm not on my phone. Don't yell at me in the comments. But I got the notification that my hold is in. So yes, I've got the audiobook. I am so pumped. There was ice on my car when I got out of the theater, so the weather might be taking a turn for the worst, but the skies are like cloudy, but they're still bright. I thought we were getting like storms this weekend, but I think it's just gonna be cold temperatures and a light drizzle. And so there's risk for ice, but it's not like we're gonna get a torrential downpour, the worst we've ever seen or anything. All I need is enough ice for work to cancel on Monday. That would be nice. But I've got the audiobook. I've got the audiobook, and like knowing that I have it and haven't started it, it's like burning a hole in my pocket. But I also really want to finish the Briar Club, so I might do that instead. No, that's what I'm gonna do instead. I'm gonna finish the Briar Club tonight. I want to start The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau, but I don't know that I'm gonna like it, and I'm riding a high of liking that movie, so I think I would like to continue riding that high by reading The Briar Club, which I'm also really liking. So that's the update I have for you. I'm gonna get to reading. I am now 75-ish percent of the way through, and I just got to Grace's chapter. We had something really big revealed in the house's chapter that implies one of the girls did it. I don't want to say that for sure. And I have been waiting the whole book to finally read Grace's chapter, and now it's here. I'm so nervous. And I feel like nothing good can come from this chapter. I feel like this one's gonna hurt the most. Okay, I'm 2 pages in, and I've got a very bad feeling. I fucking knew it. I wish this was my own copy, so I could mark it up and annotate it. This changes everything. But in a good way or a bad way, I don't know yet. I don't know, and I'm scared to find out. This landlady sucks. I think I know how this book ends. This bitch is sneaky, and I respect that. She be scheming, and she's good at it too. I'm stressed. I think I know what's gonna happen, and it's nothing good. No, it's okay. I can do it. I can read it. It's gonna be fine. Plot twist. I want her dead. Look me in my eyes and ask me if I'm joking. I'm not. I want that bitch dead. 6 feet under, expeditiously. She's been a nightmare the whole book. No one likes her. Kill her. I have just finished The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. I am sad that it's over. It had a bit of a bittersweet ending in my eyes, but I'm so glad I read it. This was such an interesting journey, a completely character-driven story. I think I need to sit with this for a while, but I am teetering between a 4.5 or a 5 star. 4.5 at the lowest. I think all of these characters were so fascinating. They each had their own backstory, and they felt so different from one another. All of their personalities were complex, so you couldn't just fit them into a simple box or put them underneath a simple label. And getting to really see into their lives, into the nitty-gritty of it, to see their mistakes and their flaws without judgment, and every single character stood on their own. I think it was only the last 15 or so pages that make me question the rating because once the big question is over, once the big mystery is solved, all of the small stuff sort of got wrapped up really quickly. And then, like I said, we had a bit of a bittersweet ending, but such a good book. 10 out of 10 would recommend to anybody. I would 1000% pick up another book by this author. So if you've read anything by Kate Quinn that you've liked, please let me know in the comments. In the meantime, it is almost time for me to go to bed, so I have a new video to watch by one of my favorite booktubers. I'm gonna catch up on her, and then tomorrow I will start the next book. I'm laying in bed. I'm about to go to sleep. I made up my mind to read The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau because I got the audiobook from Libby. But now I just saw a TikTok that Wild Reverence is the best book that person read. That it's the definition of yearning. And it should be everyone's number one romantasy. And that sounds like a great time. So I'm gonna dream on it tonight and we'll decide in the morning. Good morning. It did snow last night. Not a lot, but for Central Texas, quite a bit. However, there isn't any more rain on the weather forecast, so I think this is probably as much as we're gonna get, which means I probably have to go to work tomorrow, and that sucks. I did make up my mind. I figure if I want to read Wild Reverence, I can always grab it from the library again, because I want to read it physically, or I can grab the ebook. Because I was able to get it on Libby, and like by pure fucking luck that whoever had it finished it, I'm gonna go ahead and read The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Also, my monster matches. And yes, that was intentional, just to add a little bit of whimsy into my day. The audiobook is 11 and a half hours, but I usually listen to them at 1.5 or 1.75, so hopefully it won't take me 11 hours, but I've got my monster, I've got the audiobook ready, and I've got a puzzle that I would like to finish. Okay, real quick, I am 9% of the way into the audiobook and I finished my puzzle. Because I'm only 9% of the way through, I don't have a whole lot to say about this. I think the story is being purposefully vague, especially in the beginning. Although I will say, it turns out that the Collette Marceau's family are actually direct descendants of Robin Hood, and that's why they do what they do. And so they have some sort of code. I haven't gotten all of the rules and details yet, but in that code, you're supposed to continue this legacy, but you're not allowed to take credit for any of it, and you're also not allowed to keep anything that you steal. We're sort of getting glimpses of the past, but not like full scenes. But in one of those glimpses, the summary made it sound like there was a heist gone wrong. I don't know if that's a scene that will happen later, but at least in the beginning, it seems like the family was separated because they were living in a Nazi-occupied France. And so, like I said, it was written really vague, but it kind of sounded like soldiers came to their door and escorted them away. And it was made known that her family didn't survive to see the next year. So I'm not sure what that means for the sister or for the bracelets. I hope that things will start to become a little clearer and I won't just be confused for the next God knows how many hours. But I finished my puzzle. That's accomplishment number 1. So I'm just gonna dismantle this and then we're gonna start a new one. And I'm gonna keep listening to this audiobook. 1 o'clock. I just got to the 43% mark, and I hate to say it, but I am just not enjoying this book. I thought this was going to be more of like an adventure story, but it's more of an investigative story, and these characters have no tact. You're trying to convince me that Collette has been stealing her entire life, but the second that a cop comes by to question her, not even as a suspect, but as a witness, she starts stumbling over her words and just says the most suspicious shit. Like, you know, in like books or movies where a character is being investigated or something and they accidentally reveal that they know more than they should, and it's one of those like, wait, I didn't mention that she had red hair, or like something like that, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what this entire book is giving. She's had one heist where she almost got caught, and then they know that someone stole the jewels, but she got questioned as a witness because she was photographed at this event, and she just came off so fucking suspicious. And now for the last like 25%, we have been following a lead. We think we know where the jewels have been this whole time, and so she finds the person, or her friend that's helping her, her friend that's like the daughter she never had is helping her, and they agree to go question the guy. Mind you, they're old at this point. It's been 70 years. So they show up, and this guy is practically senile, on his deathbed in this retirement home, barely has his wits about him, and they're trying to investigate him. And he opens the door and he's like, I'm sorry, who are you? Why are you here? And Colette's like, you killed my sister. We don't know that. And so now you're giving him PTSD, whether he's guilty or not. We didn't get confirmation. You immediately came at him with accusations. He flipped the fuck out. And now what? Now what's the plan? You had a plan, and you were like, no, we need to handle this with tact and stealth. And then the second you get into his room and he like is open to being questioned, she's immediately like, what did you do with the body? And it's very frustrating to read. Between flubbing in front of the cop, revealing that she knows more than she's letting on, immediately accusing the first person that she tries to question, you want me to believe that she's been doing this her whole life? Why is this someone I should root for? She's fucking up at every turn. And I mean every turn. And I'm halfway through the book. I've spent 5 hours listening to this. And she just can't do anything right. So I'm mostly bored. I'm a little frustrated. And I really want gushers. I want gushers or like chocolate covered pretzels. It sounds so good right now. And I live next to a gas station that sells those. But we got a notice from, I got a notice from like the city of where I live. They sent out an email saying like, hey, stay indoors if you can. Please don't go outside. So I probably shouldn't be on the road, but it would only take me 15 seconds. But I would have to warm up my car for 10 minutes just to drive 15 seconds. So me trying to decide that has been infinitely more interesting than the book that I'm listening to. And that says something. Other than that, no more rain. There's still snow on the ground. It doesn't seem to be melting any, but it's not getting any worse. So I think people were freaking out over nothing. And I can't wait to tell all my coworkers I told you so when I go back. Still holding out hope that I won't have to go back tomorrow, but it's looking pretty likely that I will, and we'll deal with that burden when it comes. Okay, it is much later. I was getting a little fatigued between listening to the audiobook that I wasn't really enjoying and doing this big puzzle. All of the pieces were starting to look alike, so I took a couple hours break. But I did get my chocolate covered pretzels, so in the time since. I am now at 75%, and I just can't believe that I am supposed to root for this main character. She keeps arguing with the character that's like a daughter, because the character that's like a daughter is trying to like coddle her and be like, hey, you need to go easy, don't do all this running around, blah blah blah. And then Collette is like, you can't treat me like I'm a fragile old woman, I'm fully capable of taking care of myself, da, 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 da. And then the next scene just proves that she can't. She is not at all capable of handling herself. In one of the scenes, she's doing another self-investigation, and she's trying to trick the person she's talking to into thinking she used to be one of his like cop buddies, that they like knew each other from way back then. And her whole performance is just her being like, oh man, those were the days. Weren't those the days? The days that we remember, the days that we enjoyed arresting people. And it's just so baffling. She's so bad at it. And then the second that she gets put under even the slightest amount of pressure, she just blows the fuck up. All of her emotions come spilling out. She can't control them. She's completely ruled by them. If you're gonna do an investigation, you gotta lead with logic, and she just isn't at any point. They're also trying to push some romantic subplots for Collette, our main character, and for our character that's like the daughter she never had, and I just don't care. I don't give a fuck about who their romantic interests are, if they're legit, blah 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 blah. The only thing about being 75% of the way through is that if there's a plot twist, it should be happening soon. And truly, like, almost nothing's been solved, almost nothing's been revealed, and the only plot twist I could possibly imagine is maybe if Collette was delusional this whole time. If she's lost her mind just a bit in the 70 years and the sister is like a figment of her imagination. Like, that's the only plot twist that I could possibly fathom. And it's interesting because this book is structured the same way that the Briar Rose is. Like, they both have alternating chapters, one being in the present, one being in the past, until eventually the timelines are gonna meet in the middle, and that's when the mystery will be resolved. But I loved the Briar Rose from the first chapter, and there is just something about this story that is missing its charm. There's just no charm to it, and I don't feel invested in the stakes because we know what happened to the sister and there's no way to fix that. Knowing who was behind it isn't gonna fix it, and we have the mystery of the bracelet, but it's not even her family's bracelet, you know what I mean? So a lot of the investigating that we're doing, the very poor investigating that we've been doing so far in this book, a lot of it just feels a little worthless to me. I am enjoying the chapters from the past. It did turn out that there was a heist that went wrong that brought the Nazis to their door, and that's what happened to her family. And maybe finding out who was behind it will bring Collette like a little bit of peace, but overall, I just personally can't see how it would. And in the meantime, she is just harassing all of the people that she suspects. And I mean harassing. Is like, I think I mentioned she went to interview this old man, over 100 years old, okay? Senile. And she's just hounding him with questions about like, weren't you doing this back then? And you're my sister's killer, and like accusing him immediately and upsetting him, and he barely knows who he is. We don't know that he even had anything to do with her sister's disappearance, with the bracelet, anything. And she gets confronted and told like, hey, you can't just do that to people. And she's like, well, he might have done this really terrible thing, and so that validates her like terrorizing him. And she's like, well, in order to get the answers I need, if I need to harass him and make him relive his horrors, then that's what I'm gonna do. And we don't even know if that guy is responsible for any of this bad stuff. So I don't know. I don't like Collette. I don't care about this mystery she's trying to solve, and I don't understand why she cares as much, because I don't think it's gonna bring her the peace that she thinks it will. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been in this situation. Maybe I'm just lacking a little bit of empathy. But I've got 25% left, so we are gonna finish it tonight. I've been playing on my iPad while listening to the audiobook, but now I'm about to switch back over to the puzzle. And in good news, my work did get canceled tomorrow. So I don't have to go to work tomorrow, and I get a 4-day work week this week. I'm very excited about that. And that also means that I get to read Wild Reverence tomorrow. I'm very excited. I've got a good feeling about that one. So anyway, looking forward to that, but I am going to get back into the thick of it, I suppose. This is kind of feeling like a 1 to 2 star, depending on how the ending wraps up and what the plot twist ends up being. If there's a plot twist, I will report back with my final thoughts. That plot twist was dumb. I just didn't like this book. I think the plot twists were cheap. I think the way that everything magically worked out just wasn't interesting for the story. And everyone gets a happily ever after, so I guess it's satisfying in that way. With as much investigating as we were doing, to have everything revealed and everything solved from one source, I don't know. It just didn't feel worth it. So I think I'm gonna end up giving this a 1.5 star, at least for right now, but that's kind of all I have for you. I don't really have any other thoughts and feelings. I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was very well executed, but I did get a lot done with my puzzle. So at least we got something out of it. I am going to relax for the rest of this evening, but if you'll remember, I don't have work tomorrow, so we will start, what's it called? Wild Reverence. We will start Wild Reverence tomorrow. And that one I am very excited for. Okay, I have just gotten to Act 2. What a crazy fucking first act. That was wild. First and foremost, the writing is incredible. So beautiful. Second, the dedication for anyone who has ever had to let go of someone they love. Really nervous about how much this book is gonna hurt. There's also almost like a glossary of all of the different gods and what they're gods of. Really appreciate that. I was worried I might be too stupid for this, but this is so good. I feel like I have experienced damn near the entire spectrum of human emotion just in the first act, in the first quarter, because I think I'm about a quarter of the way through. So good. So good. My heart hurts for Matilda. My heart hurts for Vincent. I just want them to find each other. I hate that Vincent feels abandoned. I hate that Matilda is losing her spark of empathy and humanity, which, by the way, I went into a deep dive like I don't know, half a year ago or something, about how reading books creates empathy in human beings, and like if that's something you struggle with, then reading can help you understand people better and blah blah blah, and it just like it creates empathy from nothing. And that's kind of exactly what happened with Matilda, is she was allowed to like see these humans' dreams, to read them, and so she got to feel their fear and everything, and she started gaining empathy for them, and I just thought that was really fascinating. She's not reading their dreams anymore, so she's losing that empathy and that little spark of compassion, which sucks, but her and Vincent have to get together somewhere. Their paths have to cross, like, eventually. I think there's gonna be some miscommunication and misunderstanding about why they haven't spoken or interacted for so long, and I think that's gonna hurt to read, because I know it's not either of theirs fault, but still hurts. Still hurts very, very much. I'm enjoying the hell out of this so far, though. This is really good. I am curious what Divine Rivals is about, because this is like a standalone prequel, so I have no idea if it even follows the same cast of characters or if it's just like set in the same world. But even just getting as far into this as I am so far is making me want to read everything else that Rebecca Ross has written, depending on how this ends, I guess. She's pretty thick though, so I don't know if I will actually be able to finish her today. Might have to bleed a little bit into tomorrow, but I'm committed. I don't want to stop reading it. So I'll check in with you when I get to Act 3. Okay, oops, I accidentally read through Acts 2 and 3. So I have now reached Act 4, just a little over halfway. This book is so good. I'm feeling another 4 or 5 star potential. Could you imagine my third 5-star in the first month? This might be my best reading year yet. There's so much to say. Their romance is really good. They did not drag out the miscommunication as long as I was worried they would, which I appreciate, because there are some authors where it gets to a point where, like, yeah, it's really good for a conflict, but when it becomes like 60% of the book, it just becomes like insufferable to read. But if you resolve it too quickly, then it's like, okay, well, did that even matter? Was that even worth having a conflict over? So I think it lasted just the right amount of time, created just the right amount of doubt, and now we've healed and moved on from it. The point that we just got to, it says in the synopsis that she has like a powerful secret that she has to keep hidden from the gods, like her allies and her enemies, and we just found out what that secret is. So good. Such a good secret. Such a good secret, even she didn't know it. So she found out, and then we found out, and then we got to watch her use it for the first time. And now I think we will see what the consequences are of using it. This is really good so far, though. I know this is a standalone. There's a lot happening in this, like, adjacent to our main plot with Matilda and Vincent. There's a lot happening in the background, and I'm curious to see if everything's gonna get wrapped up in this, or if those are questions that are meant to be answered in the Divine Rivals duology, if they're just not going to be answered at all. Maybe there's another spin-off prequel thing that's in the works. I'm not really sure. I'm only a little over halfway, so I've still got like 40%. So maybe everything will get wrapped up. I would say I'm breezing through this pretty quickly. The world building is really dense. Like I said, there's a lot of plot happening, so that gets a little confusing, is trying to remember everyone's motivations. But for the most part, like, there are a couple mythology books that I have read, like Greek mythology retellings, where I get so confused on who is who and who wants this and why this person cares about this and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm not having that problem at all with this book. So I find the writing very accessible. I will say I'm nervous. I'm nervous for it to end. I'm gonna finish it tonight. Fuck it. I've probably got another 4 or 5 hours left to finish this, but I'm gonna finish it tonight. I can't imagine getting to like there and having to stop to go to bed and then wait a whole work day to finish it. There's just no way. If I'm tired tomorrow at work, that's just the price of reading a really good book. This next act, I think, is the biggest one aside from the first one. So I think this is where everything is gonna go down, everything's gonna go wrong, and I am equally excited and terrified to see like what the consequences are gonna be. It's such an interesting place because our main character has done a lot. She's a very active character. So she's making a lot of choices. She's making a lot of decisions. She is moving the plot. The plot is not moving her, which I really enjoy. But she's discovered some things and she's made some choices, and they've been for the betterment of the mortal realm. But the gods are gonna be pissed. We know that. Is what she did wrong? No. But is it wrong in the eyes of the gods who are like her people? I think they'll take it that way. I have not put it down since I started it. I'm gonna take a break now to eat dinner, but I think I'll report back when I finish Act 4. I'm in distress. I'll make this quick. Most things have gotten wrapped up by this point. Also, most things have gone wrong. I would say just about everything has gone wrong. And I don't know if you can tell how few pages I have left. It's only about 50. And I just feel like that is not enough time to fix everything that needs to be fixed. Because we can't end this sad and tragic, right? Right? Like, I've been on this journey for so long. There's no way that this ends sad and tragic. Bittersweet, maybe. I could do a bittersweet, like the briar rose, but there's no way this ends with it all being for naught. We've defeated our big bad guys, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. Now we just need to try and sink our claws into the only shreds of happiness that we have left. The bad guys aren't there to take them away anymore. We just need to hold on, right? And I fear that may be beyond our capability. I fear that we may be able to get it back, but have to sacrifice ourselves or sacrifice one happiness for the other, which doesn't really mean happiness, right? Because there's still like a hole to fill. Everything's gonna be fine. Nothing bad is gonna happen. Stop freaking out. I need to see how this ends. This was a very good book. I think I am going to give this 4 stars. This is not a 5-star, but I am teetering between a 4 and a 4.5. This was a beautifully written story. Compared to The Briar Rose, that was character driven, I would say this is more plot driven. We get to know these characters and they go on their own journeys, but the book is mainly focused on what is happening, the shitty situation we're in, and how our characters are going to get out of it. There was so much happening all of the time. There were just enough clues left that I would figure it out like pages, like 2 to 3 pages before shit would hit the fan, or before we found a loophole in the magic system. And those are always very fun moments for me. I had a very fun time reading this. This was an amazing first book to dive into for this author. If you haven't read them, this is where I would recommend starting. I am so eager to start Divine Rivals. I won't yet. I want to let this one simmer in my heart and brain for a little bit, but I definitely am so interested to see how her other work compares. I would say my only real critique with this is how little time Matilda and Vincent got. They are friends when they are younger, like 13 years old, for a couple months, and then there's like a 10-year plus time gap until they see each other again. And if the timeline is right in my memory, they're only together for like a couple weeks that it takes to have this battle. And then after those couple weeks, they don't see each other again for 7 years. And then when they do, we only get one scene. And so the pacing of that just felt a little off to me. I would have liked that second gap, the one that was only 7 years, I would have liked for that to be a little bit shorter, or for us to have seen more of them together after that, but just wasn't meant to be. That being said, did really love this. Will absolutely be reading more from this author. Am gonna go to bed. Will do a wrap up tomorrow, okay? Hello, I am just here to wrap things up really quick. I have made my decisions about all of these books. For the Briar Club, I have decided to go with a 4.5. Absolutely phenomenal book. The only thing stopping it from being a 5-star is the fact that it had a bittersweet ending. When I think about all of my other 5 stars and the way that those endings have impacted me, this one by comparison just left me wanting a little bit, but I still really liked it and would recommend it to everyone. The Stolen Life of Collette Marceau, 1.5. I just didn't like this. The only reason it's not a 1-star is because I did find the chapters in the past pretty interesting, but they were not enough to make up for everything wrong with the present storyline. And then Wild Reverence, I have made up my mind to give this 4 stars. Another phenomenal read. Even days later, this is still like at the top of my mind. This romance is absolutely the definition of yearning, and I am craving something similar to it. This is one that, despite not being a 5-star, this is definitely going to stick with me. And that concludes the video. Thank you so much to my local public library for picking all of these out for me. I had an absolutely amazing reading weekend. I am so glad I had the opportunity to read these, and thank you to everyone watching for making it to the end of this video. If you'd like to see what I'm reading next, go ahead and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!